right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm John Clay, your host and chief strategy guy. Hope you're doing well. And it being the week of July 4th, I hope you're letting freedom ring. And speaking of freedom, nothing is more freeing than taking control of your medical plan. So, with keeping freedom in mind, today's topic is your first year in self funding, what to expect, and how to prepare. So, before we get into it, credit to today's show sponsored by Better Source Benefits, Benefits Option Solutions. Check it out at www.bettersourcebenefits.com. Well, hey, so we've all seen the Liberty Bibberty commercials on TV. They're all over the place. They're on the internet, they're on Instagram. I don't care. Wherever you see video, you're going to see the Liberty Mutual commercials, Liberty Bibberty, where you learn that you only pay for what you need. Well, today's topic works the same way. Your first year in self-funding and what to expect and how to prepare for it really means that if you've made the decision to be self-funded, custom plans, we use that terminology as well. You're recognizing that you're moving from a transactional to a strategic way of purchasing healthcare. And in that strategic way, you just pay for what you need. And, while self-funding the medical plan is almost always a good decision, it does present challenges and new opportunities to direct the course that your plan will take. So we're going to get into a couple of items here. And the first change is, and it's a big one, is cash flow management. We know that fully insured plans are easy because you set it and forget it, right? You make that purchase one time a year, you set your rates, you set your payroll deducts, and the only variable that you have is the additions, corrections, or deletions that you have to your enrollment through the course of the year. It's simple, predictable, and easy peasy. I mean, that's what the easy button is and has been for a long, long time. But it's only for 1 year at a throw, right? Because the renewals are what present the challenge. And we've all become experts at the best looking spreadsheet around. And hey, for many, that still works, and it will continue to work as long as you rather hit the easy button than get into a little bit more involved strategy versus this transactional purchase that we just mentioned. The good news is that cash flow management can be done in similar manner to your old fully insured plan on these self-funded strategies. Part of self-funding is working with your consulting and actuarial partners to establish something called premium equivalents or fully insured premium equivalents. These premium equivalents are developed just to help you budget your health plan as if you were still fully insured. And they depend to a degree on how conservative or aggressive you want to be to set aside your money to pay claims. You can set the money, the payroll deducts, and your funding higher to a max cost. You can set it to an expected cost, or you can pay it as you go. So many will do that conservative style things and fund to the max cost in the first year because they don't want to have any surprises. But you have to look at the way that this thing is built, and managing your cash flow effectively as a self-funded plan is critical. You have two buckets of money, basically. You have fixed costs, which are your admin fees, your administrative fees, your stop loss premiums, and other components. And then you have your claims cost or your variable costs. And those are the soft dollars that go in and out through your plan as you fund the claims as they come through. So this is the claims costs are the actual medical and pharmacy claims that make up the lion's share of the expenses. Your third-party administrator can level bill you just like fully insured, as we mentioned, or bill you on a regular cycle, often weekly, for claims expenses. If you pay claims weekly, the first few months will seem too good to be true, because they are. Claims volume and expenses are likely to be the first month or two very light, and they'll start to tick up each month or week as the run-in claims happen and the pipeline fills up for claims. How you set your plan funding is your choice, which is a total departure from what you're being used to see with a fixed dollar amount every month right off the bat. Some groups choose to cash account their plans, and accrual accounting is more common because during that first 39 to 90 days, boom, it's important to take advantage of those lighter claims expenses and save those dollars and build a reserve fund in your bank account, not someone else's. Does that make sense? We think that a lot of employers buy into that, and we're finding that to be the case. So this is pretty simple, in that all you need to do is accrue the entirety of premium equivalents, employer and employee premiums, into an account to be used to pay claims. And if you cash account your plan, you've got plenty of time in those first 30, 60, 90 days to accrue that cash reserve sufficient to cover any surprises. So now that we've kind of discussed some of the critical financial management stuff, you have some additional considerations that a plan administrator can take on, and that's where you look for the right partner, because you want to have access to your healthcare claims data. One of the biggest changes as a self-funded plan is that you have a dramatic improvement in access to claims data. And that data helps you understand what exactly is driving your plan expenses. Typically, the available data is separated into two categories. You've got financial data and you got clinical data. Financial data is just that. It just includes the information for you to understand what direction your financials are taking, and the cost elements and reflection on the claims that are coming in and being paid out through your plan. On the clinical side, the clinical data includes the actual nature of the claims, the emergent conditions, primary patient diagnoses, and so forth. And you may be wondering, well, do you really want access to all of that? I mean, many people say, no, I do not want to know this. And generally, your benefits advisor can help you with that, can dig into that data. That's what we call an actively managed plan. In an actively managed plan, you've got a consultant reviewing that data on your behalf to make sure that emergent claims are addressed and prepared for both financially and clinically, to help mitigate those costs and to show a better outcome for the patient. Because the cool thing about these self-funded plans is that you can now put the best possible outcome for your employees and their dependents in the forefront as a primary focus. So you're looking for better healthcare outcomes with actually less risk at a lower price. So boom, fear not about the access to the clinical data. That's what I'm trying to go for here. A good example would be evaluating the plan performance and high cost claimants that might be approaching or over your specific stop loss or specific deductible amount. You'll get a report that says that you have these people reaching a 50% of that specific amount. Say it's set at $25,000. If you have a claimant that's going 25,000, 12,500 is 50%. So you'll get a notice well in advance of something actually, hitting that stop loss limit. So you've got challenges, but you have opportunities to help manage and mitigate, because that brings us to our next topic here, which is containing the costs and mitigating the risk. Perhaps the most important element of this managing the self-funded plan is crafting a strategy to contain costs and mitigate future risk. And there's another place where we're having access to both financial and clinical data is helpful. That information can help you determine which strategies will most effectively help you manage your costs and future risks. If your pharmacy costs are higher than normal, boom, you might consider making some adjustments either with high cost pharmacy, or maybe your pharmacy benefit manager is not performing it where it needs to be, and you need to make an adjustments either with an improved contract or a different pharmacy benefit manager. We call them PBMs. There are many levers to be pulled and several strategic partners with whom you can align to drive the outcomes of your plan needs. Your data will tell you the story, and it's important to use that story to craft the appropriate strategies. And no one better than a next-gen benefit advisor. And again, another shout out to our friends at Better Source Benefits, www.bettersourcebenefits.com. So then we get into how do we fund this? So we determine employee contributions ahead of open enrollment, and you'll need to determine these employee contributions or premiums that you'll charge your employees to be covered on your health plan. To arrive at these numbers, you'll first need to have your fully insured premium equivalents. These equivalents will take into account your stop loss premium rates for the next year and your forecasted claims expenses, fixed costs, and variable costs, right? With this information and an understanding of how aggressively you want to, or conservatively you want to fund these costs, you can get your premium equivalents in line. Once you have them, you can determine your employee premiums and move into open enrollment. And if you've likely learned, operating a self-funded health plan is quite different than having a fully insured plan. In most cases, a plan sponsor will experience financial wins when self-funding their plan. And when you're evaluating it over time, long-term, this is part of the strategy. You have a significant win long-term. There are likely to be more ups and downs in the experience, but the long-term benefits are significant in terms of potential cost savings, but most importantly, the flexibility and a much higher degree of control. So once we've gotten this thing all set up, we're ready to go. We've got our plan in place. We've got our funding in place. Boom. Next step is once you've got a handle on all these things, their cash flow management, you'll want to prepare for your first stop loss renewal. Because it's funny how things move at a much faster pace, because you're seeing these reports come in, you're thinking, wow, this is crazy. This is wild. This is time for a renewal. And so, yes, right after you've just self-funded, you're going to be preparing for your first renewal, because the good thing is you'll be preparing much earlier in the process than you did when you were fully insured. How many of us have made a last minute decision on the 30th of the month and having coverage start the next Monday or the first of the month and look for the ID cards? Well, we just sent you the enrollment. Well, I need my ID cards. Where are they today? Well, the cool thing about a self-funded program is, boom, you start getting solid reporting right off the bat. You use the available data and cost containment strategies to help illustrate what is going on in your group plan. And then you'll have an illustrative stop loss renewal forecast out there at 120 or 90 days prior to renewal. Well, boom, this gives you an indication of where that renewal will land in terms of rates. And it allows your consultant to model out some rate scenarios. Very cool, because all of a sudden you have been playing offense for the first time in your career, and you can take advantage of what's available to you and be more strategic in the approach, as opposed to, here it is, the best looking spreadsheet on the planet. There's not much we can do. We got a 28% rate increase and we got it negotiated down to 20. Nobody likes that. So be prepared for an earlier renewal. But then also understand what stop loss means. That is the protection that you buy for your medical plan. You want to self-fund a part of it with your own cash reserves, but then you also want the appropriate risk transfer strategies to take away any catastrophic loss, both on a specific level, maybe 25, 50, 75,000, 100, $150,000, and then what we would call an umbrella or an aggregate policy that takes care of any large jumbo claims or critical claims in mass, an epidemic, for example. So the stop loss contract that you may have in your first year as a self-funded plan may be a 12-12 contract, 12-12. That is 12. The first 12 refers to the period of months when the claims are incurred, and the second 12 is the period of months where the payment of that claim or the claim must be paid. So there's a challenge a lot of times if you have a claim incurred on 12/31. It's not got time to get in there and get paid. So what we do is we come in with a mature or paid contract in the second year where you have a 24/12, and that means that 24 months prior to that January 1, if you will, is looked at and paid in the following 12 months. So it's a 12/12 transitioning to a 24/12 paid contract. It never leaves you out there hanging. That's the big deal, is no one wants to have themselves hanging. There are different varieties of these stop loss contracts. It takes a very experienced and knowledgeable consultant to help prepare you for what is in store on these contracts, and reach out to www.bettersourcebenefits.com and book some time, and I'm happy to explain a little bit more about stop loss and how that works in your favor. So how do we tie this all in again? Ignoring the data or failing to use today's next-gen risk management strategies, a maturing stop loss contract most commonly comes with a stop loss premium rate increase of around 20%. Regardless of how your plan performed in the first year, even if your plan performed exceptionally well with low claims during the first year, you might see a number lower than 20%. But if your plan had a rough year with high claims, you may see your stop loss premiums increase by more than 20%. But remember, we're talking about the premiums. Remember, there are two buckets. There's the fixed cost, which has your premiums in it, and then your claims cost. So if you've got hot claims, your claims bucket might be forecast at a greater amount. So I just would say this: it's important to have a second year rate increase in mind with your consultant who knows how to use the tools and strategies, partner relationships to manage the risk now at the front end, because you want to be prepared to make the financial adjustment yet necessary to avoid a huge increase in year two. So I invite you to check us out at bettersourcebenefits.com, www.bettersourcebenefits.com, and click on the results tab to see how we're letting that freedom ring we mentioned in the first of the show for our clients. And of course, if you want to, click on the Get Started button and book a session with me, John Clay, your Chief Strategy Guide. So that's it for today. I hope this has been of value for you, and I appreciate the positive feedback we've gotten so far on the shows. We look forward to our next time together, Wednesdays, new time, 2 p.m. Eastern, on Benefits with John Clay. Take care, and we'll see you soon.